Hello again guys, this is the next sports psychology screencast, and for this screencast we're going to be talking about different theories of aggression which relate to 20-mark essay questions within A2PE. Alright, we have four main theories of aggression which you need to have knowledge about. The first one is what we call instinct theory, followed by social learning theory. The third theory is frustration-aggression hypothesis, and the final theory you need to have knowledge about is the aggression cue hypothesis. Instinct theory is one of the two most basic theories because it's a little bit like trait theory when we're talking about personality, so the concepts sort of overlap a little bit. And in terms of instinct theory, it's related to our own personal traits or genetic characteristics. So it's this idea that aggression has passed down through our genetics to become part of our overall makeup or characteristic. And therefore, instinct theory suggests that your behaviour is always predictable. For example, if you get into a car, you're always going to be aggressive. If you play rugby, you are always going to be aggressive. It suggests that there is this prediction of aggression that's always going to happen whenever you do certain things within your life. As mentioned earlier, it's genetically inherited, and this theory suggests that within us all, no matter what personality characteristic you have, there is this dormant trait of violence, which we call death instinct, that lies within you. So at any time, be it you quite a shy character or be it an extroverted character, at any time something could just trigger you and you could become aggressive. That's your death instinct. And this theory evolves in the fact that it suggests that we need this death instinct. We need to release our aggression every now and again to give us some sense of catharsism, so a pressure release. So if you think about early caveman, sort of natural hunters, natural prey drive, not only against each other to be aggressive with each other, but also to find basic food and basic food needs, that is where this instinct theory derives from. And this idea of our natural self, our natural predator self, would often rely on some sort of aggression or aggressive instinct in order to kill or to hunt. And therefore that's passed down our genes through parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, etc. And initially that's why we may react quite aggressively, because it is part of our genetic makeup to act aggressively regardless of what personality we are. Social learning theory, again, very similar to the social learning theory aspects we've thought about in terms of personality, etc. And obviously this is to do with behaviours always learned and is socially reinforced. And in terms of aggression, we're saying that okay, we're aggressive not because of genetics anymore, but because of what we've learned through our own environment, how we've been brought up by our parents, how we've interacted with social groups, what our teachers and coaches and role models have shown us. And therefore aggression can be copied, and once it is reinforced, it becomes more part of the normal lifestyle that we develop. Aggression is more likely to be reproduced if it's part of the social and cultural norm of a group. For example, if you think about prison inmates, in this clear example, aggression could be seen as the culture. I'm not saying this happens in every prison, but in terms of the stereotypical prison behaviour, it could be seen as part of the culture. In terms of a fight is okay. It's okay to have a fight with others. This is the normal culture. It's reinforced by other inmates egging each other on or discussing this further, and therefore it becomes the cultural norm of the group. Whereas if you go to somewhere like, I don't know, if we're talking about a library, for example, where everyone is generally quite well behaved, is a quite inherited atmosphere, because that environment is so different and that's the culture of that environment, no aggression is often shown in a library. I'm not saying no aggression is ever shown, but I'm saying, generally speaking, most libraries are quite quiet and relaxed places. Now, if we relate that to sport, if we think about role models, so aggressive behaviour could be shown by, for example, two baseball players having a fight. This is reinforced by the media, because the media may report on this, sensationalise this idea of having a fight, and therefore children could copy this behaviour, and their friends could think this is what's happening in the real world, this is fun, I'll go and punch him again. The social culture of the group may reinforce that idea of fighting. The other two theories are more like models, and it's easier to work through the models to understand them. So frustration-aggression hypothesis I will walk you through as we go to help you understand this a little bit better. Okay, initially you have some sort of drive to a goal. Okay, so it could be you are, let's take football for example, you are dribbling towards the goalkeeper, one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and you've dribbled the ball past him and you are just about to shoot into the net, the empty net. Okay, this is followed by an obstacle to the goal, so the goalkeeper could, from behind, pull your legs away. Okay, he has blocked you deliberately to scoring that goal. What happens then is that you get this build-up of frustration. It's a sense of, oh bloody hell, I was just about to score, and the goalkeeper's whipped my legs away. I'm quite frustrated because we didn't score, and now I've got to take a penalty. I'm upset, I'm frustrated, and what this often leads to is aggression. Could be that you turn around and try and wallop the goalkeeper. Could be that you end up being aggressive towards the ground. You punch your fist into the ground. You shout at the referee. Some form of aggressive behaviour has happened because somebody's blocked your opportunity. What this often then leads to is punishment for yourself. So because you've gone up and screamed at the referee might brandish a yellow card and say, actually calm down, I'm sending the goalkeeper off, but for you, for your aggressive behaviour, you're having a yellow card. And that leads to more frustration. And what happens then is there's this massive cycle between frustration, aggression, punishment. So you get this build up and sense of getting more and more frustrated, the aggression level gets higher and higher, and it starts to accelerate. Okay, so it's this constant build up of frustration leading to aggression. That's what this theory suggests. So if we're talking about the yellow card instance, so you've gone up, you've screamed to the referee, he's given you a yellow card, that results in you being more frustrated, you punch the ground and go and, I don't know, you might go and punch an opponent or shove an opponent, the referee comes up to you again, sends you off, gives you another card as punishment, you then get even more frustrated as you leave the pitch, you kick water bottles over, whatever else. Okay, so it's this build up of frustration leading to aggression. Now, how do we get out of this? Well, frustration-aggression hypothesis suggests that the only way to get out of that endless cycle of frustration and aggression is if the aggression gives you some element of success. Okay, so if we're talking about that incident again, so drive to goal, well, you've dribbled on the goalkeeper, he's going to kick the ball into an empty net. Obstacle to goal, the goalkeeper's whipped your legs away, and therefore you can't kick the ball into the net, you become frustrated. You become aggressive, you punch the ground, you shout and scream at the referee. The referee gives you a yellow card, which ends up as punishment. This leads to more frustration, and you end up pushing over an opponent, more aggression. The referee sends you off, which leads to more frustration. You leave the pitch, you kick over the water bottles, but for kicking over the water bottles, there's no punishment. So therefore, finally, eventually, you've got your success. You've taken your aggression out on something, and that's what we call success in that moment, because there's no punishment. And that gives you an element of catharsis. And catharsis is this release of aggressive energy. It's like a weight lifted off your mind. It's almost like you feel frustrated at something and you punch the ground, and through punching the ground you know it's not doing you any good, but it's releasing that aggressive energy, and that's catharsis. So key points to note about this then is that frustration only develops when goal directed behaviour is blocked within sport or within any sort of form of life. That frustration can occur through environmental situations. So the situation that's happened around you elevates that frustration. And as we just mentioned, if the aggressive act is successful, so if you get away with it without being punished, that becomes success. You get that cathartic release. It could be that you're playing a game and you kick an opponent and the referee doesn't book you. Your aggressive act has given you some sort of success. You've got catharsis out of that. The last theory is aggression cue hypothesis, and this is slightly different to the theory that we've just explained, but works in a similar style in terms of the model to it. Initially, it discusses this idea of an environmental cue, and what we mean by that is it could be an event as such, because it raises your arousal level. The environmental cue has to raise your arousal level. So when we talk about an environmental cue in relation to this, it could be, for example, we are playing in the Olympic final for netball, for example, when netball was part of the Olympics. So the environmental cue could be the increased crowd, the increased pressure, the increased hype of the environment. Now that means that you personally could have increased arousal. You could be nervous, or you could be up for the game. How does this cause aggression then? Well, because you've got this increased arousal level, it then puts you on a fine tilt, or what we call an edge. And to tip you over that edge to make you become aggressive, the aggression cue hypothesis states that you need some sort of trigger or an aggressive cue for you to want to become aggressive. So we're in the Olympic netball final. We're very hyped up, we're very motivated, we've got increased arousal levels, and we're playing the game, and a netball player, I'm just about to shoot, and somebody slaps me straight across the wrist and fouls me. Okay? And that trigger moment of somebody slapping me across the wrist will mean I become aggressive, or there's an increased chance I can become aggressive because I'm so aroused about the game. Okay? However, this aggression cue hypothesis also states that even with my increased arousal levels because of the hype of this game, if there aren't any triggers or no aggressive cues, so if nobody fouls me when I'm shooting, if the game's quite fair, it states that there is less likely chance of me becoming aggressive. So essentially it's all to do with triggers, this model, and it's the triggers, because you're aroused, that cause that opportunity for aggression. So key points for this one then, it suggests that frustration leads to increased arousal, but the aggression is only caused when an appropriate environmental cue is present, when only there is an appropriate trigger moment. Alright? So it has to be a trigger that releases you to become aggressive. Okay, as per usual, make extensive notes on this and bring them to class. Bring any questions to class. I suggest you draw the models out because they'll be really useful, and we'll take it a little bit further.